What would you do if you had found a book? A book, perhaps a magical book, that told you how to solve every problem. A magical book that gave you the answers to whatever questions you had. Would you like to have this book? Well, and we have read it. It is a magic book of sorts. A magical book that tells you a lot of things that most of us would like to know. Very important information, especially to the inhabitants of the earth. It seems to have been a book written as instructions, as if these are the answers to the questions you'll probably encounter, and enjoy the ride. A magic book that explains a lot about life itself, but even more about the human being, why he's here. The question of the existence of extraterrestrial life that actually interacted with us. It discusses these things as if it were routine, as if something that was documented in the courthouse. It was an amazing book of history and knowledge. So what is this book we speak of? This book goes into great detail as to transactions between humans and extraterrestrials. It explains some transactions, some punishments even, and the relationship to mankind, to the ethereal realm, was much more obvious than today. And so how did a book that would seemingly be written by extraterrestrials for the benefit of mankind? Who would write such a book? But the history behind it checks out. The details match up. Anything historical about it seems to be valid. So, first of all, who was the author and what was his intent? The information he provides is absolutely astounding. This book goes into great details about how man developed technology from these extraterrestrials. Specific and exact transactions were commonplace, and this book detailed knowledge imparted to them. But this book is not just about those. This book tells mankind very important details on how to thrive on this planet designed for his pleasure. It was designed to be mankind's paradise, and this book is an instruction manual on how to use it. There are so many amazing discoveries in this book. Did extraterrestrials leave mankind a magic book? A book of instructions of how to successfully build a beautiful world? It appears they did. Although the book consists of thousands of pages, we have condensed the essence by diligently studying this book. I believe we have come to a good understanding of its overall message, but the details and accounts clearly answer many of mankind's greatest questions, such as, who are we? And are we alone? Join us as we study this magic book together. It is written in an amazingly beautiful style. The authors seem to be kind and loving to the people of the earth, and They awaited their discoveries as they were a child, as indeed they were larger beings, the authors of this book, than man. They were said to be responsible to watch over them, but not to interfere with the doings of the inhabitants of the earth. But yet, as this book depicts, that was not always the case. And some of these larger beings actually showed mankind secrets, technologies, all manner of ways that man could facilitate and grow and become wealthy according to them. Clearly breaking the laws of his assignment. And the technologies developed were therefore forbidden. And so, this book details some of the doings that these larger beings, some of the temptations they provided for mankind are depicted and described, and we will get into those later on. This book, written by extraterrestrials to mankind, is a most extraordinary book. And so it does appear that mankind was not alone. Not then, and not now. And that is one message we can all take from this book, this magic book that we found. And so we were going to tell you about this magic book, and of course we will. But we're going to take it a bit slow because it's a rather large book, and it tends to cover our entire history as well as our destiny. So let's be patient in our study of this magic book. One very interesting topic that we shall delve into in this and future episodes will be that of the technologies introduced by these watchers, these higher creatures of the higher realms that intermingled with the earth. And apparently it was forbidden. And so as we continue our study of this magic book, we learn that mankind is subjected to knowledge that, unbeknownst to man, he was not privy to have. This book details the arrangements of the cosmos, and it would make more sense if you had read the book from cover to cover. Our effort here was to condense it for you, to get to the major points of this book. But we certainly would encourage you to read it yourself, should you ever have the opportunity. It is recommended. We're here to try to make the book more useful, for it seems to have been written just for us. And so, it is our intent to learn more about it and share it with you as we go along in the study of this magic book that truly does have a lot of information that was meant to help mankind. And in an ironic twist, perhaps mankind was greedy and sought information before wisdom. So certainly there's much to be learned. So we'll have to slap our hands a bit, I suppose. But we're going to get through this. Because it was a magic book, and it still is. And so man was in a sudden state of despair, having seen the peril introduced to their world. Much of the advice was not helpful to man, as they were taught the arts of war and how to hate, as well as in helpful agriculture and the like, and the art of writing, and all these things which were not planned for man at that time. Not to say they weren't to experience them at some point. But these larger than humans, were the guardians, and that's simply the way it was. And they violated their oath and did some terrible things, but the men followed them because they were the guardians. And many technologies were introduced, and it once introduced, well, my friend, it's here. And so the world evolved, perhaps in a different manner than was intended, but the world finds a way. Life itself, this magic book, as it describes life, basically, and the process. And it really goes on saying, and if you're willing to follow the formula, it can work rather well at times, most of the time, all the time, as a matter of fact. As this good magic book will attest as you listen or as we read. And so this is the part where the storyteller is somewhat perplexed. How much do people want to know about the truth in this book? Because it is eye-opening. But, taken as the truth, it certainly seems to match up. And so, as we pursue this magic book and treat it as such, as this magic book, that despite all the negativity that inevitably occurs in its descriptions, it's very long and it covers human history. But it does go back to a very important crossroads in which mankind was bent on a course that was not part of its original design. They were given technology and received it, and in many cases aware of the deception, and still used it nonetheless. And this is what caused some real trouble. And that's what we'll get into next.